Yeah. So we've got the session recorded for everybody. Well, I did send the digestion and sleep documents, just a lot of information. Use it however you would like. But does anyone have anything they want to talk about first before we jump in? Oh, she got a kitty.
I don't know if you covered dreams. I had a first time I've had a bad dream in a really long time, but last night I had like a dream that when I went back to sleep, sorry, this is totally not related to anything that we're working on.
Well, we are doing the sleep topic.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So where I was being attacked in the dream, like by these same two things, each time I went back to sleep, they showed up in a different format. So it felt like a thing, but I cleared myself before I went to bed. So I don't know. It felt like a thing to me, you know, like a real invasion of some sort, but yeah.
For that those sleep invaders, Marlene, that you had on the list?
Yeah, could be. Yeah, for sure. For sure. We'll go into that chart a little later, but Lainey, you had a comment?
Yeah, so for me, and this may just be me, but whenever I start having like scary dreams, there's something attached to me.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's can be any different type of thing, but it's like I will just in the middle of the night get up and clear. And this has been since I learned decades ago. It's like anytime I have a scary dream. So you might just try that, even if it's in the middle of the night, just do whatever modalities you have. You can do the quantum, just clear everything.
I was trying, but yeah, it was sort of early morning, but it's sort of between like 3 and 6. Yeah.
Yeah, and do you have electronics in the room? Keep your cell phone in there or any tablet?
I never have the cell phone on, but yeah, it could be something like that. I mean, the computer is oftentimes on, even though if I'm not in the room with it, it's still on in the house maybe. Because that feels like maybe a thing.
Yeah. And they say that you should turn your router off, just push it off during the night. I mean, who remembers that? But
oh yeah.
But it could.
Yeah, I don't have Wi-Fi or anything in the house. Everything's wired, but yeah, sometimes the computer's on and I don't put it to sleep or turn it off officially, right? So maybe that's a source.
Yeah, so stuff can come through the liquid crystal of the screens.
Yeah. Okay. So even if you clear it, then they could come back. If that's still going on.
Connected to the internet and who knows, right? So
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's icky. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, Lainey, and yeah, for that pointer. Yeah.
That might be a good idea for all of us to consider. Yeah. Thanks for considering that. But yes, the dream thing, I get that too. And so yes, Lainey, I do believe that it is sleep invaders as well. So
yeah, I was really having to fight a lot in my dream, and yeah. I'm having one of these migraines again too, so it felt like it was connected to that too, but I haven't necessarily had one with a headache before. But
yeah, and I don't know if anybody's working with clients to find this, but I find that there's a lot of dark stuff around right now. All this fear going on, all of the this mass consciousness of watching the television news or watching all these things going on in Portland or wherever, where there's, and people are scared because they're wanting to dismantle the police and let out 8,000 people out of the prisons. San Quentin just wants to open their doors and let everyone out. I'm not sure what's going on with that, but yeah, so a lot of people are freaking out, and gun sales are going through the roof. So for normal people, regular people are just, they just want to arm their, for their homes, their households, whatever, because they're scared. So a lot of fear out there. And clients have mentioned things to me too about how their anxiety, they're feeling anxious and so forth. So, and it's a very opportune time for this stuff to be out there because that's their low vibration. And of course they created it. So now that's their, that's their plan, right? So a lot of stuff So yeah, totally being protecting ourselves, asking our higher self to, stay with us at night, requesting that we do not astral travel, stay in our bodies at night. I used to
Yeah.
go all the time everywhere, and I'm not doing that anymore right
That's
now.
exhausting. Yeah.
Yeah, it is exhausting. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I did that all the time as a kid, and I didn't really know what it was till I was older, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
What was
I would,
curious about this is these beings were like, a big feature was they were masked. And I knew they weren't human, but they were like, they kept putting on a mask. Like that seemed to be a big message about something. But anyway, just sharing. Yeah. They're gone now.
That might be very much a reflection
Of what? Sorry.
The facelessness of people right now, like the zombie like control energies, and everybody's sort of getting into that facelessness and control. It's awful, and it is palpable. I find it shows up for me in physical like body pain.
for
Almost
yourself?
For myself, yeah, feeling the anxiety in my physical body, almost like a myofascial pain. But yeah, when you speak of the masking, it's just this masked anxious energy or control energy. It's horrible.
Yeah. And I even heard that they want to do like goggles so that they wouldn't be facial recognition wouldn't work for them too. So they have the most of the face covered so that they're not identifiable for the ones that are, throwing things at the police or whatever. That's what they're trying to do, is to go to goggles now, make goggles a mandatory thing besides the yes. I don't know, but yeah, there's some controversy going on. But yeah, if we can just keep in the non-emotional, try and stay above it, not of it, yeah, that's the best advice, because it is an illusion, Margot, like you said. So really it's a play. It's just kind of a drawn out play, and it's gonna pass probably after the election or something. I don't know, but whatever is in the works, it's gonna pass. So yeah, so just staying out of it, I guess, as much as possible. All right, so let's go ahead and look at digestion. Now, I have a lot of information here just on the topic of digestion first. So this is just kind of FYI. You can, read through it, or you can get information out of it if you'd like, for a client or for someone you're working with. If you don't want to look it up online, it's up to you. But this is information that I assembled when I put together my digestive program. So figured I might as well just send it all on. Use what you want. And then about, dehydration, it goes into this too, especially now with the summer. And I've been finding, like, if you feel thirsty, it's too late. You're already dehydrated. So I was thinking I had a cup here, but I don't. I got this huge monster. I don't know where my cup went. But, okay. And yoga's so good for the gut. I wish my gym was open. Let's see. Okay. Good bugs. Okay, so balancing bacteria in the gut. 100 trillion bacteria live there, and these are 75% of your immune system. So this is huge, that bioflora. And then the good bugs, the bifidobacterium in the large intestine. Okay, so at the end here of this section, I do have a recommendation that I actually got from the lady who does the colon irrigation. I think that's okay. So the right balance of bifidobacterium and lactobacillus or something So I said turn these up, or tune these up, or turn them up. So you could balance these, right? So it's saying that you need the right balance of these two. So that may potentially be something then that you could do, is to get these to the right balance. And then probiotics, of course, populate the gut with good bacteria. So here it is, digestion supplementation suggestions. So this is what she had said. It's very important to get vitamin D, especially women, and especially the magnesium for men. It says daily, okay, not with calcium. And men only require 1, where women should have 2 daily at bedtime. Okay, so very important. And then for constipation, here's something that she recommends. It's an aloe complex. You can get it from Priority One online or wherever, but it is good and it works. Sometimes when I go out traveling, you don't know what you're eating and so forth, when you're out of town, and those work. So I've brought them with me before, and it's very good. So reflorestation, so adding the good bacteria, this is important. She recommends this PB8 brand. You can find that online too. And here's the directions for that. Or you can use a product with these 22 strains in place of the PB8. So just make sure that whatever product you have has these 22 strains. Or you can use fresh organic plain yogurt mixed with water. And use it with in like an enema kind of thing. So those are some suggestions, but also that straight from her, what she tells everybody, she recommends for everybody, of all of her clients. And she also recommends, and I do this, to do the reflorestation. She says every 6 months would be optimal, but at least once a year. And that is, you go in and they do the colonic kind of thing, but then they reintroduce, it's like a little pellet, and it goes into the rectum, and it's all the good bacteria. So it repopulates the gut with all these good bacteria. And she says, especially if you've done antibiotics, for sure, it's suggested to do that. So very, very important to have that right balance. So the clearings then that you could start doing would be, the whole area, right? So going all the way from the mouth to the anus. It's not a good visual, but if you're starting here, and then that would include the saliva glands. Now, the saliva glands, a lot of these things are connected to the vagus nerve. I still got a picture of that pulled up here, I think, on my other computer. Yeah, the vagus nerve, it starts back here kind of thing behind the ears, and it goes down on both sides, but it connects to like everything. So it connects to the saliva glands, it connects to, it goes down the throat, and the esophagus, and then it hits the lungs, spleen, liver, kidney, stomach, and colon, and the intestines. So the vagus nerve, the nervous system, has a lot to do with the digestive system. So that's the Epstein-Barr. Once it has made its way into the nervous system, that's the prize it's going for, is the person's vagus nerve. And if they can mess with the vagus nerve, then it can mess the whole body, right? Because of all the things that it's connected to. So I guess that's the agenda of that virus. And
Arlene, that's also a key component of trauma, like trauma fallout. People who've experienced trauma, the vagus nerve is very much dysregulated, and then.
Oh, okay, good. Thank you for that. Yeah, so it doesn't just have to be the virus, but yeah, any kind of, I guess, trauma. So any compromise, I guess, of the vagus nerve is going to affect your digestion, as well as any other areas. But certainly all these areas that are highlighted right here, all can be affected by the vagus nerve. They're all connected, all of it. So And so what do you consider nerves, like if someone's nervous, or if somebody's, maybe they're stressed, maybe they don't have EBV or, a traumatic thing, but maybe they're really stressed a lot. So the nerves, activate and so forth. So the gut, they say the gut brain connection or whatever is there. So this is a thing too. So I didn't put that on the regeneration part, but I think, it's worth noting it here too. So I'll add that. All right, so that's the areas then. And then there is the digestive enzymes. So looking at doing the clearings around digestive enzymes anywhere from the brain and the pancreas. That's where they would be coming from. And then in the nerves, in the digestion, those little finger-like nerves that move, I don't know if it's the peristalsis or whatever, but there's little nerves then that move the stuff along through the system. So there's that. And then the valve system. So I guess maybe when you're, the food going down, and then who knows, I don't know where out in the stomach, I guess, valves and so forth. But so those would be things that you would want to clear around. But then here's the stuff in amplification. So if you want to just right now, if we want to start, just intend that we are bringing these up to 100%, just sending in the gold God healing energy into these areas, and then you want to get them up to 100%, right? So you can be doing that at the same time. You're going to be doing the clearings around all of the curses. Look at all the curses. They're satanic energies. That's got to be the same thing as satanic curses, right? Yeah. I would say, okay, so then, and if stuff won't clear, something, you're still having a problem, then there's complex evil spirit curses. So I guess kind of go in and just see if there's some other kind or some other, evil spirit curse that you haven't cleared already. Go back and look at that. Also go back and look at DNA, and then DNA of others. So some people may not even realize or know that they have other DNA in them. Now, what does constitute other DNA? Because I got to thinking about that. And yeah, of course, blood transfusion or organ transplants, or tissue. But what can that be from eating meat, like cow DNA? I mean, can it be that we've introduced other DNA in our bodies by eating other animals? What do you think, Lainey? Do you get a read on that?
That's something I've never thought of.
Because
I don't know that it would actually get into your DNA. Although if you're eating protein, so let's take a vegan thing. You eat the soy protein, but it's like that massively nasty Monsanto type of stuff. So you're getting that into your body. You're taking it as protein as the building blocks. Can that junk get into? Well, we're animals. We bioaccumulate toxins. So if you're eating a lot of non-organic stuff, you're bioaccumulating that stuff. I don't know if that would hit your. I guess it would impact your DNA.
Yeah, that's, because some things, it's like no matter what you do, it just doesn't seem to want to clear it. Not often, but I run across it and it's like, what is it? So I'm thinking maybe there is DNA from others. Margot, what do you think? You're muted. We can't hear you.
I had red meat the other night. Mm-hmm. And what I'm finding out, if I ever eat red meat and that night I get into all those kinds of weird dreamy things and I get this severe body ache for 2 days. And then I just muscle tested on it and was getting that's probably what's happening. Like
so
it's muscle test on physicality. Like it's It's like it does. It feels like it's becoming, it makes it part of my either aura. And sometimes the pain is outside of me. I can't explain it, but it's like, it's not my pain. And it does feel like other, like it's not mine. I get this really weird feeling like it's such bad pain and it feels so toxic, but it's not of me.
Well, maybe it was when the animal was killed, slaughtered.
It's all
Because they carry that DNA, they carry that cellular memory, and they carry that, right? That fear.
You can get that. The other thing to muscle test, Margot, try muscle testing. Is it the meat itself, or is it the toxins that come with the meat? Because way back when, before I went vegan, if I ate meat, I would get massive pain. And I finally realized it was the toxins because I was eating conventional meat. For me, at least, it was the toxin was what was pulling the pain. Oh, you're muted.
both.
Both.
Okay. I think there could be too like a mismatch of the meat with your system on some spirit. Maybe it's spiritual or energetic level too.
Yeah. It's sort of, it's like it gets into my energetic field.
Yeah.
It's more energetic than physical.
Yeah. Now, I haven't eaten meat for like years, but I had some, this was just the other night, maybe Tuesday night, I had Chinese food, and it was vegetable. It was all vegetable, but I believe that there was some type of broth or something.
Broth?
I don't know what kind, meat broth of some sort. I believe was in there. As I'm getting yes on that. And I didn't feel good that night. I felt really funny, and I think I had a weird dream that night, Tuesday. Yes.
So
yes. And I bit my tongue while eating it. And I had this like mouth pain. It hurt. And I was doing cough drops. I still have some cough drops. But it just felt like just weird, just a weird deal from eating.
I was just going to add that I think part of it, having been a vegetarian for, I don't know, 25 years, and then when I had babies, when I was pregnant, I always wanted meat. And I think, it's kind of obvious, I guess, what I'm saying, but if you have no fear about it and you have gratitude, and there's no worry, and you have gratitude towards the animal that sacrificed its life for you, then I think there's less intensity, and there's a little more ebb and flow. I've talked to a lot of Jains. You guys know Jain? It's a religion in India, and they're very like they won't even eat a carrot because it kills the entire thing. They'll eat an apple because it doesn't hurt the tree, right? So, but they have like it's not fear-based, it's just this very like, this is my truth-based. So my experience with food, and of course having had very different diets in my life, that if those belief systems are really cleared, then it certainly helps. There's no fear, there's no anger, there's complete gratitude for what you have in the moment. That's just my 2 cents there.
Yeah, I think you can clear it after. However, I didn't even think that there was meat in sauce or something in the food I had until the next day. I was wondering, why didn't I feel good? What's going on? That's when I was just wondering if that was what it was. So I didn't think I was eating any meat. So it just kind of was and I hadn't had any meat for years. So it was probably just my system going, ugh.
Well, right, and the fat in the meat is usually the issue, right? Rather than the actual protein part.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
That's
right.
The people I work with, that it's the fat is always the issue.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah, that's part of why when we store if the body can't get rid of the toxins, it'll store it in fat. And that's why we may get fatter and fatter, because we have more toxins than the body can get out. Then when someone loses the weight, you re-release all those toxins, and then it's harder to get them. Yeah, you're right. I'd forgotten about that.
Yeah.
But I totally agree with you on the belief system, because I was vegan for 27 years, and coming out of that, I really had to work with my guides a lot as to what I was doing, why I was doing it, and needing to come out of it, and the fear of, ooh, I'm eating meat, it's gross. And I mean, we went through a whole clearing and mess with that and now I'm fine, but I will not eat the cruddy stuff. I just won't. I don't want the toxins.
And I think people who eat meat, especially, or ingest it by, mistakenly at night, my experiences with my clients, as well as with my family, and I think it's, again, the fat content, or the ideas of fat content, way harder to sleep well.
That makes sense. Yeah.
For some reason, the evening, because laying flat and to sleep, and I don't know, regarding sleep, but I think it was here in your things, Marlene, don't eat like 2 or 3 hours before you go to bed.
Sure.
Guidance.
Yeah. And starches too, for the blood glucose and insulin or whatever, but yeah. So just kind of FYI, I didn't know if it's DNA of other that's in that other meat, but also too, it could be DNA from others where it could come in from vaccines. Okay, so Lainey, did you say something? You're muted.
I was trying to earlier.
Oh, okay. Hi, Renee.
Yeah, hi. I was also thinking that it depends on who prepared your meal.
True.
Sometimes, if I go to a restaurant regularly, it doesn't always taste the same. I'm like, wow, is the chef having a bad day? I can kind of sense that.
Yes.
And if it wasn't prepared properly, or if it wasn't like cleaned properly.
Yeah. Yes. Right. I know what you're saying. You go to the same place all the time and you get the same thing. And sometimes it's not the same as what it was. Yeah. And it's like, that just was thrown together. I could tell that was just thrown together. It wasn't prepared correct. Yeah. The same. Good point.
That is a good point. I was going to say the same thing. Like I just I can't really eat out at all, because it's not even this, like, whatever the thing is, a vegetable or this or that. It's like usually the oils, the lesser quality oils, but it's also dependent on the mind frame of the people who are there. Like I feel like I pick that up a lot. Like that can be disturbing. I learned that a long time ago. I remember I was sort of having dinner with a friend of mine, and I was living in a artist cooperative. Anyway, there's a friend, and she's a little high strung, and my other friend said, I don't want to eat her crazy salad. And I thought she was crazy. And then I thought, well, wait a minute, I get that. Like her food does have sort of like a frantic feeling whenever you eat there, eat her food. So I don't know if you ever saw that movie. It must have been from the early 90s, called like Water for Chocolate. It's a foreign film but basically it's sort of talking about this issue that you have to make your food with love, and the people will feel that energy in the food. It's sort of a fantastical, I think it's Mexican or something, story, but it's sort of fun. And that was sort of 30 years ago, I think, the introduction to me about the mind frame and the energetics of the people who are making the food that you're eating, that you do get that. So it's not a DNA thing, but it's sort of what Renee was talking about.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Mm-hmm.
I think well, am I on mute?
No, you're good.
Hi, I think all of this stuff speaks to just the importance of all of us protecting ourselves. Like there is just so much negative, oppressive, suppressive, all that dark energy. I think through 2020 just seems to be so magnificent. So I'm wondering too, if we could just review or even have sent a protocol for protection, like as sovereign beings, and like you said, staying in that higher self reality. And I mean, I guess that's just regular clearing and protection of our aura. But yeah, any suggestions on protection against these things, more preventative, as to, I just see myself clearing myself forevermore, like, but maybe being more intentional in terms of prophylaxis versus clearing these things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hi,
So,
it's Jan.
oh, hi,
Um,
Jen.
I was a bit late because Andy, just right as I was getting organized, had a bit of a spell. He felt sick, and so, anyways, I couldn't leave him. But I second the ask in terms of the protection. I'm having trouble with keeping myself clear. I clear in the morning, and then in the afternoon, I can tell stuff is back. And if I don't have time to really stop, and it's like 100 times more in the last few months than it was before. So it just feels like a constant struggle every day in terms of picking up these energies. And the regular type of clearing just isn't not clearing, but protection isn't seeming be enough.
And can that be like, I'm finding the same thing. Like, I'm so, like, my clairvoyance, everything is just so wide open. Like the downloads I'm getting, or can that be from doing more of this? And yeah, is there something like every time that we do the, like, are we making ourselves more susceptible to that stuff? Or yeah, so I would love to extend the
Yeah. Now, I was instructed to, call in someone to oversee, so your higher self, call in your higher self, but then you can call in who you trust, so I would, if you say, I would like to call in Jesus to oversee, or somebody, or, master, or, send in whoever. And then 10,000 protection warriors, angels, or whatever, to oversee my sessions today, or my, so now, and to put yourself in this bubble, see yourself in this bubble, and this cobalt blue flames around the bubble can burn off negative energies. So if you can remind yourself to put yourself in this protective bubble. But does anybody else have, seeing that things are, ramping up in that area, around all these things kind of just going rampant right now? Is there any other suggestions? Anybody else have a process?
I think grounding is also profoundly important. So I've been really working to ground, because I'm feeling this tendency to go up to the quantum and do the work. So doing a lot of work, porting down to the center of earth, and yeah, lots of grounding techniques, just to
Yes.
doing this thing with my aura, just bringing my aura really close to me.
Yeah,
like,
that too. Mm-hmm.
Is like just bringing it in nice and tight, almost so I can feel its edges, and staying within that column of sovereignty and, highest self, and then bringing my highest self down, but making sure I'm grounded. But like you, Jan, like needing to do it so much just to stay feeling present.
Yeah. And then and I'm feeling vulnerable clearing, doing the clearings for others. And like, am I secure in what I'm doing? And I have felt that I was tested, that I was, and then boom, in comes something. So it's for me, in the last month, I've become very unsure, uncertain of, because it's like if I open myself up, then boom.
But do you feel that is trying to shut light workers down again? Like.
So I even did, in the last month, I did, it was a particular balancing around conception, time in the womb, and birth. So I went through this meditation, and it was lovely, like everything was lovely, came out of it, but I felt like I had a hole in my chest. And so I thought, okay, well, maybe, it's things are just releasing and it's going to take a bit of time. So I went to bed. The next day, I still have this hole. This is kind of weird, but I had this hole in my chest. And I was off. Like I was off all day. I was just doing like ridiculous things, turning on the oven and then not putting the food in the oven, or pouring something into the sink and missing the sink, like just stuff that I spent a lot of time in the kitchen. So it's like, what the heck? So it went on. So finally I thought I need to take some time and really dive into this and see what it is. There was so much stuff that came out and needed to be cleared. And I wondered, this was one of my questions, I wondered if those entities were from my experience in the womb, or in the birthing experience. And because I did that work, then I uncovered that. Or did things just move in because my guard was down while I was doing this meditation? I don't know. Anyways, I just wanted to put that out and to see if anyone had any thoughts about it.
Anyone get
Information about
anything
it.
from that?
I think you're clearing stuff. I think we're all being called. I think it's a balance. I think we're all being called as way showers to light workers. And when you said that, Marlene, it really struck that it's almost like our light's coming through and we're being challenged, or they're trying to say, whoa, because we did a retreat last week with 9 women in the room, and profound healing and shifting and opening, bringing in light and clearing. We did quantum healings for them, tabletop sessions and chanting and all together. And the next 2 days I could similar like you, Jeanette, could barely move. I was out of it, like a walking, and had those questions like, oh my gosh, is this work dangerous? Like, am I
Yep.
putting myself at risk? Like this is not good. Like I'm completely and non-functioning for a few days.
Yeah, exactly.
So I had the same thoughts. Like sometimes I don't know in my body if it's actually bad for me but it's interesting, the power of reflections in a collective and working in a group like this. As I'm listening to you, I'm getting a very clear guidance that you are shedding, like you're releasing. So you're becoming more light, and but it's extremely painful to go through that process.
It is.
But I think we have to also remember that we have free will and we can always choose. Like, that we have the choice to say slow down or to claim the pace and that kind of thing. So just getting back to that sovereign free will that we have choice, and perhaps you're going too much too fast.
Can I also add that with COVID, most people know I'm doing a lot of work with that. So there's a lot of, without fear, there's a lot of different, basically like morphing of the virus in different ways, okay? So my experience, and the planets have been in a really intense summer, like super intense. And my experience is, if you can really focus on super healthy, energetic, spiritual mind boundaries, you're going to feel a lot better, because it's also, especially in a meditative state, and I love meditation, but it can make it the field too open. Not just your aura. Like I work on my aura like 3 feet. I don't like it big and wide because I see it gets frayed and thin, and like mine to be nice and fluffy and healthy and like 3 feet from my body. But I think that part of this is the, social anxiety and social consciousness, but also I think it's actually the virus does morph in different ways to different people. So if your boundaries are super healthy around that, That's been very helpful for me, my family, and my clients. But the planetary stuff has been so super intense. It is almost August 1st. July was tough. July was really tough. At least I'm not a big crier, and my daughter and I cried for 3 days straight. It felt like last few days. And it was just a clearing from the whole month. And we didn't know what, and we both said, we don't know what we're crying about. It wasn't, and it was just someone else's tears. I figured that out, and then we were free of it. So just kind of an example of that. And you don't have to know, I figured out who it was, but I don't think I needed to know whose tears they were. They just inherently did not feel like our tears. Just kind of.
So how do you set the boundaries?
Well, I did a few different things. Do you know Jimmy Mack from Florida?
No.
Okay. So he does, he uses muscle testing, but he does, and I love this, that you want to test positive for being clear. Okay. And then you want to test negative on being unclear. And then you want to test positive on moving forward. Okay, so that's your energy moving forward, not getting bogged down by anyone else. Mm-hmm. And then you can do that with boundaries: clear, unclear, moving forward, or moving direct. I find that really, really helpful.
What was the last one you said? Moving forward and then?
Or moving direct. You can say moving forward, moving direct. It's like just unsticking the energies, right? And I always ask if I'm having an emotional reaction that doesn't feel like me or I don't understand it. I always say, is this my energy? Is this someone else's energy? Yeah. And if I get someone else's energy, I send it back to them with love. I make a rule, I don't take on anyone else's energy. That rule often gets broken. And then I have to get reminded of it. It's like, oh, whoops, right? But it does me no good and them no good. Only hurts me and doesn't help them take on someone else's energy. So, if I'm in a session with a client and I'm leaning forward, I know I'm on the wrong track. So I really make myself lean back, because that's like this over intensity, and things are so intense in our worlds right now that it's really good to kind of lean back and have that separation. And of course, all the things about having a boundary. But I think it's a really good question of whose energy is this? Whose pain is this? Whose suffering is this? And send it back to them with love. Or just neutrality is good also. So that's been helpful for me.
Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, very good. I like that, the shared energy piece, and cords. Check for cords if someone corded into you, because if so, and Jen, that could be something to check too, has someone corded into you, because then you could be taking on the other person's stuff, and attachments, right, can come through those cords.
So when people do cord, my husband cords into me a lot. I'm noticing it's a new thing I'm noticing. I'm like, God, literally gets in there and cords into my energy, like wants to kind of drain my energy. So we clear the cords and unplug them. But is there a technique to prevent us from getting corded? Is that just like the bubble and a permeable bubble that only love gets through? Any suggestions? Because it's prevention, because I'm forever clearing or I'm cording, and I'm so grateful to have the tools, but I would, I think it's a discipline too, every morning doing that protection and the intention for being protected. But
sure.
Any questions on prevention of someone cording?
This isn't prevention, and I'm sure everybody's already doing this, but every time I interact with anybody, including my husband, who also really does, his courting wants to take my energy, I just clear myself. Like it takes 1 second. Every time after we do this group, I'll clear myself. Like everything, I have a conversation with anybody, I just do a very quick clearing, and I don't do a lot of checking of anything at that time, but I just do habitually clear. Oh, I went to the store, I'm cleared. I'm going here, I'm clearing. I'm interacting with somebody, I clear. And just reaffirm my boundaries after that.
So how do you do the clearing?
I just use like a visual myself. Like I just, let's say, use white roses. I mean, I might do any number of things, light or different things, but a quick one is just, I just will even see, you know, light roses and then like shields up. And I'll just say the words and I know that it's done. So, but I went through a period where I felt like I was getting everybody's stuff and I became very afraid of that. And like bad things were happening or I felt really knocked off by any interaction, healing or not. And being concerned about that is natural, I think. But you know, one thing I appreciate so much about you, Marlene, you often will say things like, this is not me. And you just like know that it's done and you expect that you're safe and you expect like a positive outcome with your boundary. And I think for me, that's actually been a really big takeaway from your work as well. You know, just having that positive mind frame that you are protected. And whatever you decide, whether you want to, sometimes I just see a column of light. And I know Lainey had talked about in her, you know, with her different modalities, using different types of light, but whatever you know already, I just try to do it very briefly and quickly, but habitually, right? So it doesn't like make you feel like, wow, why is this happening? But because the light attracts everything, right? Dark is attracted to light. I've found this a lot in my life, right? So it is like, as you do your work, things are going to try to challenge that, right? Put a damper on that light. So it's part of the warrior status we have to have there a little bit, that strength to keep going forward and just know that you're protected by your team, by your whatever tool works best for you, for just affirming that you're clear and that you're protected. Somehow it's not a judgment, it just feels like a different thing for me to really feel secure in that. And I have a lot of emotional stuff that kind of going up and down with everybody with all the different energies, but I feel last night was surprising because I normally feel pretty clear. So when I couldn't clear it and it came back, that's why I was confused about that dreaming thing. But yeah, just keep clearing. You know, I use light and images of roses to clear, and then a shield, like a gold mesh cage that I live in.
You can also ask the consciousness, the frequency around you to be increased.
Yeah.
Right inside your shield or whatever, inside your bubble or whatever you want to do. Just say, this is, I'm at 1,000 plus.
Yeah.
At all times.
So anything that comes to you will be rebuffed. It may still come to you, but you'll feel more comfortable.
Yeah.
I can feel, I don't know if you guys are experiencing that, but I'm experiencing a clearing right now just by talking about it and the impact. Yeah. So, Jan, if you ever feel stuck too, like, and as a team, just reaching out to one another too, like we can support each other as light workers with that.
Okay.
I feel
I
a real shift just from the discussion. So I think it's really important. Thank you, everyone.
You all know
Yes, thank you.
the remove, repair, rubberize saying. It's also a good one.
What is that?
Say that again.
So it's a kind of remove, repair, and rubberize.
Rubberize.
So it's like, sorry, my video keeps going off. It's like bounced off. Remove, repair, rubberize. That's a quickie.
Yeah.
You know, if you're feeling icky or you're going like having to go into hospital, something like, yeah, remove, repair, rubberize, thank you.
Yeah.
Quick, please.
I like it. Yeah.
Without fear, but with caution, right? So just another, I like that one because it's fast.
Yep.
And I don't want to visualize it, you know, so you can play with that, see if you enjoy that at all.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Anything that's fast and simple, phrase, image, whatever works for you, but saying it frequently and knowing that that's okay. If you need to do it like that, that's, I think, what we all do to feel stable in the passage. And also, I think once we get it, once you do deep work, there can be reintegration period where emotions will need to take their time to reconfigure, right? So it feels, when you were talking before, Jan, it felt like something like that. Like, And I think somebody else said that as well, like just a reorganizing. But it can be disturbing when it takes you out of your life and takes time and days to reprocess things.
Yeah, I get that that's what's happening, Jan, a real reintegration. And it's almost like a Kundalini, you've heard of these Kundalini awakenings. I think that, the people who do this work, we're having an awakening, and the body has to reestablish and rebirth into this light. It's a big deal. And in doing this work, we can't avoid that piece, and that can be so uncomfortable and distressing. So again, anytime.
Yeah, and I found a long piece I had. It's called Psychic Attacks, and I'll send it to everybody. There's information here from several different websites that I got, I believe. And I got the URLs of where I've gotten these things from. So the energies around us, dispelling the energies. And then they talk about organ energy as well. So I thought that was interesting, where the organ or life energy and the dead organ energy is what we would call negative energy. So interestingly,
does that mean those organ generators are not good?
I don't know. I've got like these kind of things.
Yeah, I've got one too. Yeah, I was gonna say I've got one right here by my computer.
Yeah, there is some science behind organite, the metal chips and stuff like that. I don't know. I'm gonna send this to y'all so you can do it yourself. There's a lot of information here, and geez, yeah, and crystals and holy hand grenades, tower busters, stuff like that. This goes on and on.
Crystals have been really interesting lately. So my son has like 5 bazillion, and he knows all about them. He's really educated on it. And I feel like they're being very compromised right now. So I'm just encouraging you all to, like, if you clean your crystals once a month, do it once a week. If you do it once a week, do it once a day. That has been my experience.
Okay. All right.
I don't know why.
Often. Okay. And then, two, taking salt baths, Epsom salt baths every day. Water is a purifier. So, I know someone who does in-person sessions with people, and every night, that's just her thing. She always takes this salt bath every night. And then you can spray the rooms with orange essential oils, water or whatever, I guess, those spray orange oils around. And people talk about burning sage and so forth to purify, which you can, but I was also, this same woman also does not do sage. She does, but she only uses it to find where the energy is stuck. She says it does not clear the thing itself. It just shows you where the energy is stuck, because if you're going around a room and the smoke kind of sputters or goes out or whatever, goes down, that means there's dark energy or something stuck right there, right? But if the sage continues to smoke, goes up, whatever, that area is fine until you just hit a spot where, that's the stuck energy. So it's really a tool, is what she says.
Yeah, I think that's really important, because as soon as we get into anything like crystals or anything like that, it's an external. And I think it then gives us the message that we need that. Like, I really believe that if within ourselves and that higher self and the quantum, we have the capacity, they can work as tools. But if we're looking to them as a resource, it suggests the duality, that we're separate from and we need something separate.
Yeah, outside of you. Here's one too, this thymus thump. It says about 30 seconds. It calms and balances your entire system quickly. It also gives your immune system a boost, because that's the thymus right there. So you could try that. and just bringing your system back to get to, and then grounding your energy, like Margot said, is a good one. Protection. Here's a protection. It says by tracing your central meridian, an energy pathway, okay, in front of your body, also highly attunes to thoughts and emotions. You're able to strengthen it. So place your hands at the bottom end of the central meridian, which is at your pubic bone. Inhale deeply. As you pull your hand straight up the center of your body, up to your lower lip. And then, okay, you're just like that zip, I guess. Zip, 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 right? Repeat 3 times. With the electromagnetic force of your hands, you are literally moving the energy in the meridian in the direction of its strengths, and that meridian is strengthening. And then you can say, as you're doing it, I am safe and protected.
I do that for clients a lot. That's a Donna Eden work. And
Yeah, I think that might be, huh?
Yeah, it is. I work with Donna, so I do that a lot for clients before I even get on the session.
Oh, very good. Okay.
So I do it on me and I do it on them, and then it feels more we're good to go.
Yeah. And then you can cross your arms and legs if you're feeling energetically vulnerable. Protects your aura, creates an energetic shield as well. This is like, I don't know how many pages this is, 20 pages, all kinds of stuff. So you guys, I'll send it to you. Pick out what you will, and whatever resonates to you. I'll send that up. But we probably should get moving on. If there's something else, definitely reply back to the email. Renee, are you saying something?
Yes, I would like to.
Go ahead.
Another thing to add for the DNA of others is other fluids like saliva and definitely sexual fluids. Those can be very potent.
So there's DNA in both. So sexual partners too? Is
Absolutely.
So we pick up others' DNA through that?
Yes, and a lot of energy through that as well. Like, especially if a man is like really unconscious in a bad place or really angry, when he ejaculates, that goes into the body of the woman. It can stay in there for a very long time. Years.
Interesting. Okay, yes. Oops. DNA. Very, very good. So clearing yourself then after an experience, or using the protection prior?
Yes, before and after. Like being mindful of that.
Yeah, and being mindful of who it is. Beforehand would be good. Yeah.
Correct. And another protection thing is being present in the body. It's one of the most powerful things, because the more present, the more you're inside yourself, the less likely anything else can get in.
Yeah, so being 100% spirit and body. So you can just see yourself coming all the way into your body and bring it all the way down into your toes and everything. And then clearing clear blocks preventing that. And it's usually in perception, I guess, is what I was perception. So okay, very good. I like it.
Yeah, and Jen, I got a little message that during your meditation, that part of what happened was like a past life healing.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Yeah. And then for Tracy, whether this applies to you or not, it applies to people that when people go to sleep and they're more open or they're more conscious, there are energies out there that like to mess with people. So they may not be attached to the person, but there are energies that like to interfere or negatively impact them.
That's the feeling I've had, is that it's that being messed with because of the crazy things, like pouring out a can of beans and missing the sink. Like, who does that? It was just
right. Or tripping on something. I've had, like, I know somebody put their foot out and I tripped over it, right? I know that. Nobody was there, but
yeah.
Why would I stumble right there? That made no sense. Yeah. Being messed with. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I get that, Renee, for me too. Yeah. They wanted to put me out somehow, but that's like, yeah, might not have been attached to me, but just in the field, I was engaging with them and they were causing me distress, right? So that was.
So if they're not really in my field, they're outside of my field, but they're still having the ability to interfere, then what do you do about that? So I can protect myself till the cows come home, but if it's outside of my field, then what do I do?
Well, it's another form of protection. I took this class in my early 20s, and I was being messed with a lot because I'm very psychic and open. And the teacher said before I go to bed to imagine that I put on a helmet.
Okay.
And I could put the visor on or off. If you leave the visor open, like you're able to sense things more, or you could close the visor down. And I did that, and it is rare that I ever had them. And I had the most horrific, crazy dreams. My mom was like, "How do you sleep with those dreams?" I'm like, "Well, it's just normal to me." So it like stopped immediately. So you could do that or something else before you go to sleep that's very specific for that. People travel, they go the astral plane, like even if people don't want to, I mean, we often learn things in the night and other things are still happening even if you want to minimize it.
That's great advice. I think Jan was asking about it though, because she hadn't been sleeping, but she was possibly processing a past life experience, as you were saying. So she's saying, what should she do if she can protect herself, but this is in her field, making her spill the beans and literally spill the beans.
Spill the beans. Yeah.
And
Maybe that's
clear your space. I would think you can clear your space, right? So clear yourself and clear your house, right? And wherever
Yeah.
you
absolutely.
but
And where do you need to spill the beans, Jen?
But sorry,
Maybe that's a metaphor. Where do you need to spill the beans?
I'll have to think about that.
That's a good call.
Yeah, that's funny.
unintentional on my end.
Yeah.
All right. Very good. I'm glad we had this conversation because it is very valid right now. So I'm going to send this PDF, or it's actually a Word doc, but if you have other things to add to it, please reply back to everybody in the email, and let's just kind of add to this list, or all this stuff that comes up. I'd appreciate that. Because yeah, it's a big deal for a lot of people. All right, so getting back to the clearings then for digestion. So there could be time bombs from past life programming. So that would be like an unresolved trauma on your timeline at the same time as in a past life incident. You know, like age 30, something happened in a past life. Now age 30, it's a time bomb on this timeline. So we learned about clearing the timelines. So unresolved challenges requiring us resolution. So you can just see that timeline, like we said, in front and the back to the beginning of the end of life in this body. So using that suction or blasting it off to clean off the time bomb programs. And that's the shooting dice thing here. So, so you want to look at, this is obviously around digestion. So if you're, so is there something, from a past life that's affecting my digestion right now, or my clients, and see what comes up with that. Perception, then all this group mind virus, contracts, and then etheric body, that's the emotional body, energetic bodies where information and programs can be hiding out, blocking your ability to fully heal. So that's another place to look there. And then emotions, so you got your emotional thought forms from the emotional brain with any time that there's feeling attached to it, that creates that thought form. And then the emotional body, so that etheric part of you that is feeling the emotional part, so follows the shape of your physical body, obviously the emotional layer. And then the emotional brain, including the amygdala, so that's in the back here, the early emotional program brain. So that's usually like age pre-3, age 3. And then DNA in the bloodline, so I can clear DNA, the actual genes associated with the issue. And then you would want to find out any of these areas. And then also that's the ability to produce the digestive. Oh, we already mentioned these, I guess. but I guess they're there good. And then clearing DNA from DNA of others, transplant, transfusion. Because it becomes a second set of details. So then bloodline or clan. So makes an agreement with yourself to suffer somewhere along the line. And then dark energies, all of this stuff is what you look at to clear. And then they get to the regeneration part. So make sure all the clearings are done, and then make sure that you're up to 100% on each of those areas. And then if you are 100% here, then you can start with the regeneration of the mouth, then moving into the saliva glands. And there's a lot of stuff in here. I mean, if you just looked online, this whole area, pharynx, or I don't know what they, I guess PHARN something. This whole area has a lot of nerves and has a lot of stuff in it. So, you know, so it depends on how complete and complex you want to make it, I guess. And then the throat, the esophageal, larynx and all that, yeah. Stomach, then going down, gallbladder, large and small intestines, the colon, rectum, and anus, and then we said the vagus nerve. So, but now getting the vagus nerve, we didn't put that up top here. We need to get that to 100%. And now, do you, you know, clear virus first, if there's that in there? There, Epstein-Barr virus. You know, that, excuse me?
What is the valve system?
Oh, there's different valves. And I believe, like, you know, the stomach opens and, you know, closes, and there's different, yeah, parts of the whole.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's, I guess, up to you. If you want to clear the vagus nerve first, that could be a big, you know, long process, drawn out process, but it's there. So then just, yeah, using the basic hand movement, stimulating the blueprint, bringing the master cell up to 100%, bringing the light in, and then matching that to all the surrounding cells, just like we learned before. Then, you know, the person themselves can do something like a colon cleanse. It could be suggested, and that's when you can suggest about the probiotics or getting the good bacteria in, like we just mentioned. All the different good bacterias. And then you want to clear emotions and other blocks to being able to show up for yourself, to enjoy a food cleanse or a fast or a flush or be whatever you want to do. So this would be a clearing around being able to stick to a flush, or being able to, you know, to do morning smoothies, or to, you know, to get yourself set up to do some daily stuff. So maybe a daily exercising, eating well, drinking water, staying peaceful and calm, meditating. This I would imagine because of the nerves and so forth. But so those would be outside actions that you could recommend. And then, so this could be a, what I did a clearing around when I did the full digestive system was to enjoy an optimal functioning digestive system and all the areas. And then free of inflammation, autoimmune, infections, non-beneficial bacteria. And then I included anything like this, the Crohn's, the leaky gut, you know, polyps, hemorrhoids, diarrhea, constipation. And then I ended the clearing with, and programs, dark energies, da-da-da-da, and I guess candida is, someone told me to put that in there, okay. So this is the clearing that I did, so anything that would be blocking that is what you would want to clear, right? So the whole thing. Now, digestive questions, these are those questions that we, you know, you can ask yourself. So what is it about personal issues that you can't handle your own personal issues? What distortions am I thinking are ready to be purged and realigned to create a healthier body? So distortions in your thinking, to effectively channel my energies and resources and intentions. So not doing that, or ceasing communication to myself with degrading and abusive language. Yeah, so like the black magic, right? So what injustice or abuses of the past am I refusing to let go of? So holding on to resentment, I guess, and being free of that, and to believing in yourself, effectively processing deeper toxic emotions so my body can heal, unexpressed, suppressed grief, and to feel accepted by God or source so I can accept myself. So something is a real disconnect here for people. And so that may even be like the crown chakra issue, or, you know, pituitary, or, you know, that seventh chakra, that connection to source and connection to self. So maybe that too could be the getting the spirit all the way in the body, and embodying yourself. So being a child of God who sees my weaknesses and embraces each fault with loving kindness and acceptance. So so really it's not you know, when they say unconditional love, it really isn't that. It's actually unconditional acceptance. So this is a big word here, acceptance. Choosing to align my life with true purpose. Now, I put in a sample client. This is somebody I worked with, and his digestive issues. Okay, so I found, you know, I found over 100,000 of these when I read him, right? And evil spirits, risen demons, alien stuff, entities, evil spirits, demons. I guess I got that already up here. I don't know why I have it twice, but whatever. There was a ghost, and that could cause issues with the stomach. So spirit attachments, they kind of attach there at the stomach, so that could cause digestive problems. And so can walk-ins. Yep. So guests, snakes, whatever. And then this is a clearing I did for him. All the parts allowing nourishment. Also, so these are the things that I cleared. That these are all a lot of dark energy stuff here and amplification stuff. Then you can look at clearing programs for digestion and the family bubble, for inflammation, for nutrient absorption, for elimination, and for restriction surrounding elimination. So these are all things you can add into that.
Do you check each of those separately, or you don't combine that into one, checking the DNA for like one digestive issues, inflammation, nutrients?
You could do them all together, but I checked separate. You could check all together, and if you've got, you know, like 9, 10, 12, you know, 21 of them, maybe you got them all, you know, something like that.
This here, not necessarily in the regeneration stage. You do it in the clearing stage, like when.
Yeah, you can do that really anytime. You don't have to do it during regeneration. We can do it before.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, and then you've got later in the day bloating. That could be spiritual parasites or aliens. And so really just work on it like every day for a week and see if there's a difference for people. So this is pretty much the protocol for digestion. And I'll save.
So how long did it take you to do that with that client? Did you break that up into more than one session, or was that a one session?
Yeah. Yes, I did. Yeah, I did a few sessions with him. That's how I did it.
And then you did some regeneration of all the different organs and systems related?
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah, so that's just what I found on that guy. So, I mean, if it's helpful to you to see what, you know, a guy with a real problem had, that was him, you know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right, so very good.
Marlene, I have a question on that, like timing. I find I keep getting a download or a message saying it doesn't have to take too long, like, but I don't want to, like, is that the ego, or like, but like, is it enough to just give guidance to their higher self to do the clearing almost for us instead of us pumping constantly? Because I find like I get clearings if I do that, if I go back to it and I ask it to, like, I might have a client call, we'll have a setup call, and then I'll ask that the clearing take place for them throughout the week and ask that the higher self, their higher self, do the work. I almost connect my higher self to their higher self and ask for source through the quantum to do the work.
Yeah.
It's like all that, like I don't go often into all the very specific seeds or anchors and stuff. And am I doing a disservice to the client, or can I just have the intention that those are all cleared?
Well, see, that's the thing is you want to, and I wanted to, I want to speed this up. And yes, very good point though. I do call in the other person's higher self and, you know, request that they are in, you know, participating here and getting the things that seen or unseen that I'm not aware of. Right. So, so to assist in doing this and to actually take over what I've charted out, plus whatever is also in the way. So do that. But at the same time, I kind of want to make sure that I've got all the anchors. And so really when you identify the stuff, then you can get rid of it, right? So if I just said, yeah, you know, the A7, whatever, great. Well, what if I didn't get all 100,004, you know, I kind of want to go back and make sure that, okay, so how many are there now? Okay, so I guess it's a combination of the two until like you're fully 100% trusting that I've checked it both ways. I asked their higher self and then I charted it myself. Okay, so maybe ask their higher self and then chart it, but don't do any of the clearing, and then come back and see how much of your clearing is complete. You know, and if it's all complete, hey, yeah, then let's go with that. You know, maybe try it again and see what happens, you know. But that's a good point, Margot, because I definitely want to speed things up too. And there has to be a quicker way. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'll play with that. I do find, just when you said too, that really landed, I find almost as soon as I identify it's gone. Yeah. Like the second it's identified, it just needs to come into light and they see that we see them and they're gone.
Yeah, I know. And so a lot of times people will send me emails and they're like, well, what's the problem? Can you please tell me blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, you're asking me to do a session for you and actually clear this stuff for you, because they don't understand that once I start putting my attention on it, the stuff's going to go, right? So that's, yeah, you're right. Once you've identified it and it comes to light, it's like, oh shoot, can't stay here now, you know.
I also wanted just to add that I have the same kind of question, Margot, but in my experience, let's say like if you want something or you're setting intention or you pray or whatever we want to call that, like it's much more effective if I'm specific than if I say, I just want a great life, everything great, please. You know, and know that that's going to happen. But if I say, listen, I'm having this issue and I want to see this, this, and this show up in my life, then that actually shows up. Like it may show up somewhere in there in the more general request, but it's like any intention setting for me, the more specific I can be, the more effective it will be in bringing that. So it's sort of the same thing I'm finding with the work. The more specific I get about what needs to be, you know, removed, then it's instantly done, sort of. But if I've wanted to kind of make it a general thing and just trust that it's all taken care of, and I haven't really tested it to see if it works. But to me, it seems like the same thing. The more specific you can be, the more effective it may be.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel too. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, good, Tracy. Okay, so let's go into the next category, which would be sleep. And there we go. Let's move this. Okay. Come on, stop share. All right, so next up is sleep. And Again, I'm starting with a lot of sleep details, statistics. You know, if you need to use it for PowerPoint or whatever, you've got some information about it. So you can do that. And just a whole lot of links from where this stuff was, you know, referenced from. So that's fine. So then the biological sleep clock can also differ. Excuse me? Tracy?
Yeah, I just said thank you for all the like research that we can use of yours. Thank you.
Yeah. And other sleep statistics, I guess we've got more. Okay, and then here, these different types of sleep disorders. Now, I guess I had this on here from when I was doing it for whenever. You could work with, you know, sleep apnea, obstructive sleep apnea, central sleep apnea, parasomnias, which are nightmares, night terrors, sleepwalking, confusional arousals, I guess. So these, you're going to be able to do the charting on this, right? So for somebody who has parasomnias, so what could possibly be blocking me from being free of this stuff? Then chart it, you know, curses, whatever's going on. Restless leg syndrome, there's dark energies there, obviously, and energetic interference, entity attachments, narcolepsy, insomnia, hypersomnia, could do around that. And then medications, yeah, non-functioning pineal, melatonin, absolutely. And then, you know, sleeping in the dark and doing things like that, melatonin balancing, so you can actually, you know, bring the melatonin back up, but you kind of want to be doing the regeneration of the pineal, ideally, and the adrenals. Tips to help you sleep better. So, you know, avoiding caffeine, maintaining a regular bedtime schedule, keeping the bedroom cool and dark, wearing loose clothing, avoiding foods, and then you have check on walk-ins, entitlements, and sleep invaders. So walk-ins can take away your authority. So you require your own authority and your spirit in the body. So as we been talking about, breath, controlled breathing can relax people, and nose breathing is promoted in yoga, so that's good. So you could do that. You know, breathe in, hold it for 7, exhale for 8, and then repeat. Pregnenolone is eliminates sleep issues. So a lot of times that's from the adrenals, well, ovaries, and then after menopause, usually adrenals. There, check your neurotransmitter balance because they regulate mood and sleep, right? So all that. And then pineal, okay, so sleep, so adjust the melatonin. And then, of course, coffee, sugar, definite no-nos for sleep. Insulin resistance could cause problems with sleep too. So maybe there's something around the pancreas that needs to be checked. And then the adrenal gland, can't fall asleep or can't stay asleep there. And now DHEA from the adrenals, it's involved with a few different processes, but one is sleep, and accelerates recovery from any kind of stress, insufficient sleep, etc. So DHEA, again, adrenals, check that. And then high levels of cortisol for adrenals there too. And then sleeping in a pitch black room. And if people are waking up at around 3 in the morning, yeah, they can have some protein, a little bit of protein or whatever before bedtime, but it's also adrenals usually. Clearing evil spirits and deliberate ill will set towards you. So that could be something you can check with. before you go to sleep, just to say, is there any ill will towards me, any curses, anything, put on me, right? Energetic parasites and their anchors. If you have busy mind, that's usually the main cause of that issue. Mechanisms. Check the mechanisms in snoring, nose, jaw, throat. Restore parts of the brain that direct sleep. And removing programs for sleep apnea, insomnia, and snoring. So these would be, DNA, right? It's not chemistry, it's probably spiritual interference. Energy in the human spirit access portal. That's here in the back of the neck where the spine meets the skull. So there could be snakes, what's on our list for entities that they can hover around in that area. So just clear that stuff out there. Ongoing insomnia, some probably pretty significant energetic interference issues during the day as well. So if you're having nighttime, issues, you're probably having these interference issues during the day too. So clearing, so the ability to enjoy deep, restful sleep, the whole clearing you want to put on there. But these are the areas that you can check, and then use that right twist. And
Hey, Marlene?
Yeah.
If clients have like the spiritual interference during the day, what would that look like for them?
Well, that would be any of the entity attachments that we already have identified off our chart. So, headaches, or not feeling like themselves, or thoughts that aren't their own, and pain, aches and pains. Restless leg is usually like a demon energy. Yeah, so any of the other stuff, if you've identified that they have attachments, period, during the day, they could also be having them at night. It just would go to prove both, yeah. So a lot of emotions around this stuff too.
Marlene, just on that note again, back to Jan's point, how do you determine, for instance, I get leg stuff at night, often woken up, and I get a lot of tingling in my feet. How do you determine, I guess you can just ask, but determining if a symptom is actually an attachment or an interference, versus sometimes there's this release process that people have as they're healing, things are releasing, that saying pain is just weakness leaving the body. How do you determine the difference? Because
I guess you're just going to have to test.
Okay.
To see if there's any attachments. Is there any dark energies here? Is there any ill will towards me? And is there any curses? Sometimes people who are jealous or envious will, either intentionally or not intentionally, whatever, but they, just that, sending some she's a, whatever. Yeah, so testing for curses, and especially if you've been out in a group or somebody, or you've speaking, doing a webinar, that kind of stuff. You don't know who's on there looking, sending dirty stuff to you or whatever. Yeah, so that's important too. But then, yeah, after doing the clearings here, then you're going to want to regenerate the adrenals and the pineal gland to get down to, because of the anxiety and the cortisol, adrenaline, it's not going to let people sleep soundly. And then if they don't have the melatonin and the pineal gland itself, you've got the calcification. So you're going to want to see, what is it, 6% calcified or whatever it is, and then just see it melting. Just see that white calcium encapsulation just melting off. Or you could see it being chipped off, like you're a sculptor and you're just chipping it off or something. But whatever it is, the pineal gland has that calcification. Usually it comes from, you know, fluoride, chlorine, that kind of stuff. So that no sleep apnea exists or affects you negatively, remove altering, apathetic, controlling, damaging, delusion, disgust, evil, intertwined, intolerant, and parasitical. So just test those until you get to 100%. These are all things that they can do or be or whatever. So here with the regeneration, the right twisty thing. So then you also want to get to the mental timeline, emotional timeline, and family timeline, and DNA resets. Now, not just DNA, but the actual reset itself, because it can just revert back, right? So if you forget to do the reset, why am I continually, I've done all the stuff. Okay, I didn't reset it. You're like, right? So then you want to clear a poor sleep cycle. Let's see, reset pineal hormone to release at the proper time. So melatonin, yeah, and guests, guides, aliens, type 3, and ghosts can be involved. And then these anchors, and then removing agreements to allow the use of your body or mind during sleep cycles. So that's what we may have been talking about earlier. So the agreements, removing agreements. I think that's a good one right there. Because maybe at some point we did agree that that would be all right. But
So how do you remove agreements?
that would be the same as on the amplification chart. You know, you oops, not on that one. That was the just the regular basic, you know, hand movement. So until you're 100% clear on that. And then these guys are the sleep disturbances. So these can be anything you're messing with or sleep to check for, right? So starting with the reticulans, this is the stuff that they can cause, right? It's on the other chart too, really, but and then the anchors to check for, and then doing a little karate chop thing, the basic swirl for reptoids, the right twisty thing for the grays. So these are the guys that would.
So when you say right twist, are you meaning the doorknob?
It could be called that too, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. So all of these check for, right? Because they could also be, and then there was the snake. Making holes. The praying mantis is on here. That's leg here, and then genies, I guess, are in there too. So that's how you would clear them. Now, these are, yeah, a few more. I know. Do we have reticulans? Yeah, we already had reticulans up here. Oh,
This chart, you didn't read-
this is the B2, I guess. Whatever. Burrowers, iguanas, walk-ins. Now, walk-ins can prevent regeneration in our sleep. And they're either human or alien 4. One there. Okay. And then spiders. Okay, those are snakes here. Okay, so spiders is here, and then that's where the human access portal, where we mentioned the back of the neck here, often around that spine, back of the neck, back of the head, they're drawn to the human access portal. That's where they hang out, right? So, and then Pleiadians, well, it depends. It's not all Pleiadians, but there could essentially be, you know, the bad type or whatever, but plugs up also that human access portal. Potentially. And then these Chinese animal gods, embedded in the spirit-body connection for controlling and channeling influence. So those are all sleep invader types to check for. Now here's just kind of a little checklist here to get a good night's sleep, to set your body to its natural circadian rhythm. So doing these, you know, retrain your circadian rhythm. So it starts in the morning. Expose your eyes to morning light. No sunglasses. Forget what they call that, but you know, sun gazing or something like that. I've heard that that's a thing that we should be doing. Quitting sugar and starchy carbs, especially 3 hours before bedtime. Reducing your protein at dinner. Reducing your exposure to blue light, computers, and all that. Television, darkest possible bedroom. If you have hot flashes, then you know, take a cool shower before your bedtime, and then putting a fan by your head so that your head is cool. Your pituitary is that master temperature regulator. Reducing caffeine. Deep breathing before going to bed. Getting up at the same time every morning. Ditch your bedroom for a few nights if you're having problems sleeping in there. Maybe sleep somewhere else, see if that makes a difference. Exercise, but not too close to bedtime. And then here's the circadian rhythm clock. So your deepest sleep, it looks like between 2 lowest body temperature. I don't know. But I guess from 2 to 6, it looks like, boy, that's kind of fuzzy, isn't it? I wonder if I have to use a magnifying glass here. Let's see, lowest body. Wow, it doesn't even look like temperature. I don't know. Sharpest blood pressure, something at 645, 730. Melatonin, serotonin stops. Oh, okay. So that would make sense. Highest alertness, 10 a.m. Best coordination, 2:30. Wow, so that's when you should make your beans or go for a walk. Fastest reaction time, 3:30. 5 greatest cardiovascular efficiency and muscle strength. Highest blood pressure, 6 p.m. 6:30. Highest body temperature. Melatonin starts secretion at 9 p.m. So interesting to know when all these things really are our best time of the day for. So that is that's sleep, and mostly everything that we can check for there is on this chart. Let's save this.
Marlene, could you go back to just before the sleep disturbance clearing chart starts and put a couple of extra spaces?
Okay.
Because that title is on one page and then the chart's on the next. So if you just put a couple of extra lines, blank lines in there, then it will flip to the next page.
Oh.
Like when it's printed.
Oh, I see. So you want this all to be on a separate page, the chart?
Yeah, so it only needs a couple of lines.
Okay.
Yeah, that'll work too. Yep, that's good.
All right. Yeah. There we go. 1, 2. Yeah. So that would print off on 2 sheets right there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. And then you put that on separate. Okay.
I love that sleep chart, Marlene. It's amazing. You did a great job.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. So a lot on here, a lot to, you know, to say about it, but you know, it seems to me like it's a lot of dark energies, right? That's most of this stuff. It seems to be dark energies, plus the adrenals and the you know, pineal. So with the cortisol and all that, right? So, and then yeah, you know, there's emotions there, agreements, again, that's right here. So that's any contracts we made and stuff on our timeline, past life stuff. And that's, you know, could be the agreements we made in past lives too. That would be like the soul contracts, right? So yep. All right. Very good. Save it. And I guess we are complete with both starts. I'll resend them to you again. So we've got the corrected or the, as well as the psychic attack. So we'll get that to our paintings.
Arlene, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So, maybe I missed it, but for sleep, would we also kind of work on neurotransmitters, dopamine, serotonin, that kind of stuff?
Sure.
Did I miss that? Is that on the chart?
It is. Yeah. Neurotransmitters.
So do you break it down with dopamine, oxytocin? Do you break it down?
Yeah, you certainly can. Yes, definitely I would.
So it's.
Yep, it was on the chart there somewhere, neurotransmitters, and then it said which ones to look at.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I missed it.
Oh, that's okay. That's all right. Yeah. So I will get the email here, reply all, and attach. Okay, so anything else? Before we log out. Gesture. Attach.
Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, my pleasure. This was good. I always enjoy our talks because everybody has so many good ideas. Here's the revised chart. The psychic. Okay. Off to you, and then I'll send the recording too, but it's not going to be in this same email. I'm just going to get these docs off to you right now, and then I'll send the recording as soon as I can get that. It'll be a little later today, but all right. So with that, I guess I got to use the bathroom. We didn't take a break here. All right. Okay, everyone. Well, we should decide on our next. This is actually our August or whatever, but so I guess, and I'm going to be taking some time off. So, yeah. So it's going to be after September, the weekend of September 6th, I guess I'm back. So anytime after that, if you can reply back to the email to me and let me know what works for you after Sunday, September 6th. And we'll get some, like that week, I guess, you know, September 7th through the 13th, maybe in there. If something, what days are best and what times of day, you know, or what will not work for you or something like that. Either one.
What are we working on?
Well, don't know for sure yet. I guess, why don't you put that in your email too of what you're, you know, would prefer to work on in that session.
So with this same time, work on September the 11th, Friday for everyone?
Does for me.
Works for me.
Me too.
I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Okay, September 11th at
Perfect.
whatever everybody's time is.
Time that we did today. Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
And then we'll figure out what the priority is.
Yes. Then just reply back to the email then just saying, you know, these are the categories or topics that I'd like. Yeah, that would be good.
So will you send us the categories that we have available?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay. Yeah. Wonderful, you guys. We're so efficient. All right.
Enjoy your holiday.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.